By the way, here's something I just thought of. Are there snakes in here?
Yes, sure.
I am Phil. Phil. Beautiful lady. Phil. Food is the great connector, isn't it?
I'm like Oprah. You get a shrimp, and you get a shrimp.
I find a new place, see what everybody's eating, and sometimes miracles happen. Hello. A classic Mexican cantina. Best sausages in Lisbon. Floating markets in Thailand. Favorite thing to do is to taste little tastes of different things. Banh mi, cocktails, crawfish, pork belly, pork cake, and pork chop. This is fantastic, people. It's so good.
Just find out what people like to eat. You make them happy.
What is that?
It's a snake.
He should really try the ribs. If you like a food, go to the source. This is why you travel. It's a fan trip. God damn! I'm so happy. I can't imagine anyone not liking this except my parents. Ma, do you know what that is? This is called a mangosteen.
A mango what?
Mangosteen. It's like a Jewish mango, mangosteen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Phil Rosenthal. Make some noise. Oh, man.
Hello.
Hello.
Wow, nice to be here. AOL.
Welcome, Phil. How are you? Before we go any further, I've got so many questions, but man, how are you doing, Phil?
I'm exhausted.
Are you?
No, I'm good. I like being here. I love New York. I'm from New York.
So you're from New York,
Yes.
right? You're, but you don't live here anymore. No, you're out.
No,
in, California.
it's cold. No, I live in L.A. I've
live in
lived
LA
there
now.
half my life. The first half was New York, and I'll probably die in Los Angeles.
Oh, from the sound of the sirens, you might die in New York.
Yeah,
and we'll see
yeah.
what happens. How often do you come back to New York? Do you come back often?
Oh, my parents are here, right?
Yeah.
My brother is here, his family. I got a lot of friends here still. Yeah. These people are here. I have to see them.
Yes, we do. We have to see all of these people, and we will. We will, absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. I got to tell you, I had a chance beforehand to profess my love for this show, but I'm going to do it publicly here. My wife and I, we were watching it. We're obsessed with this show. It's fantastic.
Oh,
Congratulations
thank you
on this wonderful, wonderful show. But as I did also state, we are technically predisposed to love this type of show because, you know, big fans of the Anthony Bourdain, the Andrew Zimmern, the Carl Pilkington of the world.
Yes.
But now you've entered our pantheon of these world's luckiest TV hosts.
Where am I in the order?
Actually, you're pretty high up. I'm going to tell you. Yeah, because it is so much fun to watch you go through this.
Yes.
My first question, though, is before the show, before you started doing any of this, were you a fan of these types of shows as well? Did you watch any of these before?
A lot of them. Anthony Bourdain, you know, he paved the way.
Yeah.
He
set the tone.
but like 18 years ago, right? I tell people I'm exactly like Anthony Bourdain if he was afraid of everything.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect. So you're a big fan of the shows. You're watching them.
Yes.
I know.
And I'm watching him and I'm going, he's amazing. I'm never doing that. I'm not getting a tattoo on my chest by Aborigines pounding nails into my skin. I'm not going to Beirut to get shot at. I'm not going. He's a cool guy.
Very cool.
I don't know if you can tell, I'm not as cool.
Well, that's part of the fun, if I can jump on that for a second, because it's a little more of a way in. You watch Anthony Bourdain, it's like watching Indiana Jones. I watch you, it's like watching my uncle. It's like
Thanks, Matt.
No, but I mean that in an endearing, sincere, lovely way.
I know. I figure people watch me and they go, if that putz can go outside, maybe I can too. That's how I feel. I feel like there could be a niche to fill there of the people who watch an adventurer and are never going to do it. I represent you.
You do, and you do it beautifully.
Thanks.
We watched and we were like, this is the kind of trip, I think we can actually do this. I think we can make this happen.
That's right. And the places I'm starting with are kind of like Earth's greatest hits.
Yeah.
So even if you never traveled,
Top 10.
Yes, I'm here to tell you I don't want to sleep outside. I want a hotel with a bed.
Yeah.
I'm going to places where, by the way, 99% of the places, everybody speaks English. So right away, that's taken care of for you. You don't have to be scared, right?
Well, that could be a big scary part for a lot of people.
That's
the language barrier.
But there really isn't.
Was that something you did intentionally for the show or for you as Phil? Like, were you scared of the language barrier as well?
I would say both. But then even if I'm going to Bangkok or to Saigon, most everybody speaks English.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even in Thailand, in Vietnam,
Yeah.
I even taught a little class.
It's an amazing moment.
English.
Yeah.
And they spoke better English, certainly, than I spoke Vietnamese.
100. It was an amazing moment in that show, and you kind of confessed to the camera beforehand that you're terrified to go in and do this.
Why? I never taught before, let alone taught Vietnamese children. What do I know?
Well, that's fascinating because you've been in entertainment for a bulk of, if not all your life, right? You've always been, you've constantly been entertaining. Many different facets of it. You go to your IMDb, there's so many different things and amazing things that you've done, and yet this room of 20 or 30 some odd children was what terrified you.
Yes, because they're children. And they're honest, you know, they'll tell you, you seem terrible to me, they'll say.
You talk about choosing the world's top 10. What goes into the process of choosing where you do go? How big is the list when you guys start? How do you whittle it down?
Honestly,
does that look like?
2/3 of Americans don't have a passport, right? And I think the world would be better if we all could experience a little bit of someone else's experience. So I understand if someone's nervous to travel, that I should start with the most accessible places. That's what I mean by Earth's greatest hits, right? Yeah. So I'm going to these places that are popular, and they're popular for a reason. People like them. So I think if you see me go, and you see that I can navigate my way through with no problem, right? Or very little problem.
Right.
You can be adventurous too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of, you mentioned with no problem or very little problem. That's another part of what makes the show so enjoyable, is that it's so positive.
Thanks.
And that you yourself exude this sort of positive energy and this exuberance. You're always so happy. You're always enjoying what you're trying. I watched it, I was like, did he taste anything he didn't like?
You know, it's hard to believe today. But there's way more good than bad out there. Yeah. There really is. And most people in the world are so much better than their governments.
Right.
You know?
Amen. Yeah. I believe that.
And so there's nothing to be afraid of. There's so many nice, beautiful, sweet people. It's here.
Yeah. What kind of research do you do before you even hit the ground? What are you looking up on? What are you reading up on?
Right. So I have a production company called ZPZ. They're wonderful. They do the Bourdain shows. So they have people on the ground. That's why, you know, it looks so fantastic. Of course. They've had, you know, they have had years and years of experience shooting this kind of stuff. And not only that, they have contacts in every place on Earth. So I utilize their resources. Then I get a list of, are you interested in this? Are you interested in that? Yeah. Then I go through my stupid head, what makes a show? What do I think, you know, or I'll either be good in or a fish out of water in and might be a good scene. You know, we're using our judgment to, because the first thing we want it to be is entertaining to people.
That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my modest goal. I'd like to be the most entertaining food and travel show in the world. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I want. And then I go through the way everybody can on your phone and research a little bit. Yeah. We can all Google best places to eat in Lisbon, right? And then I cross-reference, because you don't go by just one source. You cross-reference. You see where a lot of reviewers like it. People are tweeting about, Instagramming this place, right? Yeah. Very, very easy to do. Easier now than ever before in history.
Right.
And then we make a list, and then we leave room for serendipity.
That was going to be my follow-up.
And asking the locals once we're there.
There's a great moment in the Vietnam episode where you've just gotten your coffee, and out of nowhere you catch a waft of somebody making like an egg sandwich, and you literally just have this huge grin on your face, and you point at you and like rub your belly. It's a fantastic moment, and you just serendipitously stumbled upon this delicious egg sandwich. And so how often do you find yourself with this mountain of evidence that you have prepared, how often are you veering off and just letting the trip take you someplace?
Every day.
All the time.
Every day. We film about 10 days, and you never know what's going to happen. You just like, you know, you walk down the street right here in New York, and here's a new place you never saw. And all of a sudden, let's say you walk by, there's a line. I know it gets your attention. It gets my attention. Yeah. If I have time, I'm getting on that line. People know something that I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah. Do you ever get to bypass those lines in any situations? There was a fried chicken place you tried in New Orleans where there was a line out the door on the establishing shot. And I was like, there's no way they stood out there and waited for that. They had to know somebody. They're filming a show.
Okay, I'll tell you how to bypass the line.
Well, I don't know that I got to get a whole film crew, I imagine.
That's it.
There it is. All right.
That's my magic secret. Come with a giant film crew of 16 people, and they say, oh, you're going to make a TV show about us? Step right in. Yes, here we go.
Please.
Yes.
I gotta ask, because I was wondering how much of this was inspired by your experience on creating, if any at all, on creating Exporting Raymond. Was any of that what sort of lit the spark?
Absolutely. People saw that. That was a documentary. It's on Netflix now, too, if you want to see that. It was about me going to Russia. The Russians called me, and they liked Everybody Loves Raymond, and they wanted to turn it into Everybody Loves Kostya. For Russians.
Amazing.
So like an idiot, I went, but I brought a film crew to document the whole thing. That was the only smart thing I did. Yes.
Absolutely brilliant.
So people saw that, and they called me in, and they said, we like the idea of you going places. And I said, so does my wife. And they said, you have any ideas? I said, yeah. How about, this is an idea I've had for many years, actually. How about a show where I travel around the world and show you the best places to eat in an effort to get you to travel.
So great.
Yeah, and I told my brother this, that I actually got that show. Somebody bought that show, and he said, really? What are we going to call the show? The Lucky Bastard?
Yeah. Is that why your production, is that the little title card at the end? It's Lucky Bastard. Oh, man.
Couldn't call the show that.
No, you could not. Well, it's Netflix.
But the production company.
You can call it anything.
Well, I like this.
I do like this as well.
Yeah.
I love the theme song for this. Can I tell you?
Lake Street Dive.
Oh my! Lake Street Dive.
Do you know that band?
Absolutely.
Lake Street
I saw them
Dive?
in the credits. I was like,
you got to get their albums. I was interviewed yesterday by a little kid, even littler than you. Younger, I mean.
Hard to believe.
Not little,
well,
younger.
I'll take
He was 7.
Wow.
He likes the show.
Of course he does.
He likes the theme song. I said, that's a band called Lake Street Dive. You got to get their records. They're terrific. And he said, what's a record?
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so I'm officially grandpa. That was really, that was very stunning. And he was 100% serious. You know he's serious, of course. Why would a 7-year-old have heard of records?
Yeah. My cousin, who's not that, he's in his 20s or something like that, but we have an old family house upstate New York, and there's a rotary phone. And not too long, we went up there, and he wanted to call his mom. He's like 21, 22, like that. He looked at the phone, he looked back at me, he goes, hey, Matt, what is this?
What is?
He had no idea how the phone worked. And I was like, dude, you got to do this thing, and then
put your finger in there.
Yeah.
In where, man?
Yeah, what is this thing?
Yeah.
Family is such a big part of this show, and I do want to talk about that. But actually, you know what? Before we get into that, the theme song, I have to ask: was it your idea to give yourself your own like '80s sitcom style theme, where it describes everything you're doing within the show? Because that's kind of what I loved about it.
I wrote a bit of a lyric.
You wrote one little bit.
I'm friendly with the band.
Yeah.
I love them, and then they took it from there, and they kind of Lake Street dived it up.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. All right, anyway, so I just wanted to know about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, family, huge part of the show. Your brother, producer on the show.
Right.
Which we see a little bit of him in the Saigon episode.
Yes.
When you're talking to your parents through Skype and all this stuff.
That's right.
Was that always part of it for you from the beginning, that the family has to be involved, that family has to be part of this? Because family's a part of my life too. Is that the idea?
In Exporting Raymond, I Skype with my parents from Russia. Yeah. They were the funniest, best thing in the movie. So when I got the show, I thought, I'm going to do that every episode. I'm going to Skype with them from wherever I am, because the Skype with the parents is the modern-day equivalent of the postcard home.
Yeah.
So, you know, we take it for granted now. We all have it. That 7-year-old never grew up without it.
No, he only
but for me, old man, it's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Absolutely. It's magic.
We could be anywhere in the world, and I can show you exactly where I am, and we can talk and face, you know, again, grandpa talking. But great-grandpa and grandma are so wonderful. Every time we go to them, we wonder, will it be good this time? People tell me that's their favorite part of the show. I'm like, why do I bother traveling?
It's worth the
I
price
can sit
of
in the
admission
kitchen
alone.
with them.
Honestly,
Yes.
just to watch you with them is hilarious.
I know. They're everything.
They do steal the show. I feel a spin-off coming. How heavily edited are those? And I ask that because when I love my parents, and I love my father, but you get on the phone with him, you can't get off the phone with him.
True.
He tells you stories over and over.
I could have a 3-hour special
You
every
could have a
show.
3-hour?
Yeah, every show.
How was the longest you sat down with them?
The longest?
Longest conversation you sat down with them?
I don't know, I guess an hour.
Yeah?
But, you know, we only have a limited amount of time in the show. The whole show's an hour.
Exactly.
Right. But I think some people, they would like that show. Maybe that's a spinoff.
I think there is a spinoff there. You know, we mentioned earlier, you had a show on PBS a couple years ago. Very similar show. I'll have what Phil's having.
Same exact show.
Same. Okay, but by similar I mean
This show now on Netflix. I have a theme song.
You got a theme song. It's
They
fantastic.
changed the title, but also it's shot in 4K. That's why it looks so beautiful,
it's
right?
gorgeous.
Ultra high definition. Everything in the show looks beautiful except one.
Stop it, Phil. Well, the question I have is, having done those 6 episodes, was there something you learned over there working on that, working with PBS, that when you came to Netflix, you were like, all right, we're ready. We've done these 6. Now we know this, this, and this. We're going to do this a little bit different. This is going to be a little bit easier. Or no?
Nope. I did little tests
Yeah.
of a show, like I did a little something for Amex once. I've been trying to do this show for about 10 years. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
The genesis for the whole idea was we did an episode on Everybody Loves Raymond where Ray went to Italy.
Great episode.
You know it.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So the whole thing about that show stemmed from me asking Ray, after season 1, I think, where are you going on your hiatus? He said, I go to the Jersey Shore. And I said, that's nice. You ever been to Europe? And he goes,
Perfect, right.
no. I said, why not? He goes, I'm not really interested in other cultures. Yeah, even his own culture, Italian. And I thought, oh, we got to do that show where we send him over as him, send him back as me, someone excited,
Yeah, exactly.
right? So we do that episode. I write, character, gets woke by having a slice of pizza in Italy,
Yeah.
right? And gelato, and seeing Italy, and being hugged and kissed by everybody, and he transforms. Well, what I saw happen to the character happened to the person. And that really got its hooks in me. To see that happen to such a guy, I said, what if I could do this for other people?
What if I can make
So I started trying to do this. And I don't know, it just trial and error.
Yeah.
I made certain mistakes, as you do in rough drafts of things, like when you're writing. Same thing when you're making anything. Hopefully it evolves. Well, I learned one thing. I knew a very good producer who I didn't get to work with ever. It was my brother. He's a producer. And he's done this before. And I thought, okay, now that I have this, you come with me. And we have a ball. And it's great.
Lucky bastards.
The Lucky Bastards. That's the
That's
logo.
the logo at the end. Does your wife ever come along with you for a trip
She
here?
does. If she sees it's a place she would enjoy, then she comes. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I would be remiss. We're going to turn over to audience in a little bit. I got a couple of minutes left, but you bring up Raymond, and to not ask at least 1 or 2 questions. I mean, it's a classic TV sitcom. I'm very curious. At what point? How many seasons in? You did 9 seasons. How deep did you guys get when you realized we're going to be doing this for a little while? This is taking off. This is a real thing.
3rd episode.
No, really, that early?
There was a laugh in the 3rd episode of the show. I'll never forget it. You wait to see if the show's going to catch on with people. Now, right from the get-go, I thought the cast was amazing, and the stuff seemed to be working, but that really doesn't mean anything. In other words, you could have a bad time slot. There are a million reasons why a show doesn't go, even if it is good, right?
So many things
So
need
many,
to align.
all the stars have to line up to even get on the air.
Right.
But the 3rd episode, I'm watching, Ray says something stupid to his wife, like a little too smug, and she's eating ice cream, and she takes the ice cream and she just plops it face down in his lap. And the laugh from that went on for over 30 seconds. And I'd worked in sitcoms now for 5 or 6 years before that. I'd never seen a moment like that. These people coming, the show hasn't been on television yet. These are just people coming to see a play.
Yeah.
With new characters they don't know, but there was something about their relationship, Ray and Deborah, the husband and wife, that connected with them, and the laugh told me, oh, we might be on to something. Wow. We might be on to something. That was the first time I thought, we have a chance here, maybe, to last. And I'll go one step further. The show was designed on purpose to have lasting value. What do I mean? No, we made sure no topical jokes. No jokes about President Clinton at the time.
At the time, yeah.
You're laughing because that's why. Because today, not going to play very well, right? No really sexy, vulgar material in there. We could suggest things that the parents would get and maybe would go over the kid's head. That was done on purpose. You get such a rare opportunity to have a television show. Why not try to make it have lasting value? Yes, not timely, timeless. Yes,
exactly.
So that was on purpose. So when we saw we were connecting, that's when we thought, oh, maybe we have a chance to endure.
What does something like that do to the writing process? Does it make it, I guess it makes it more challenging. Of course, you're trying to create the fire from Mount Olympus. That is the everlasting
A little more
thing.
challenging.
Yeah,
I'll give you an example. There was, I don't know how familiar you are with the show, but there was a show where Marie made a sculpture.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh,
The mom made a sculpture.
Classic.
And it's a part of the anatomy, a part of the female anatomy.
I can't believe you guys had that on CBS, on television.
The reason we had it on CBS and without censorship, we never mentioned the part. Huh. It was in your head. And the art was abstract enough to not be so graphic that it was, oh my God, how can you show that on television?
Yeah.
But the way our characters were reacting to it, you knew exactly what it was. Yeah. So you filled in the dirty part, you filthy animal.
Sorry.
Yes. That to me was the challenge of that episode, and we thought it was a challenge to ourselves. How do we get this, I guess a kind of salacious joke, without doing anything salacious?
Yeah, that was part of the brilliance of that show, is that you guys could hit those notes without necessarily hitting those notes. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could go in that area without going to...
But it's more satisfying to me, as a viewer, even.
Yeah, well, I think also, too, it should be satisfying as a creative person to achieve that. It's not easy to do by any stretch of the imagination. I'm curious about what the writer's room was like, because there is something about, we've said it's relatable, but it's more than relatable. It's almost prolific. Like the suitcase thing alone, that has happened and continues to happen in my family. I'm not moving the suitcase. You move the suitcase. These kinds of things.
These little wars in marriage.
Yeah,
right?
these little things.
Yeah.
Did you guys sit down and, okay, what happened to you this week? What's going on? Yeah, that's it.
You could have worked there. That's exactly what it was. If you worked for me, your job was go home, get in a fight with your wife, come back in and tell me about it. That's how we did the show. I had read that that's how Carl Reiner ran the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were only trying to emulate the great shows that came before us. Yeah. All in the Family, The Honeymooners even, right? Dick Van Dyke, Mary Tyler Moore Show, Taxi, The Odd Couple, all shows I loved, all grounded on planet Earth, all about real life that was identifiable, relatable. That's what we were going for.
Man, well, at least you didn't set too high a bar for yourself. At least you did. Absolutely amazing. We're going to turn it over to the audience. Somebody feed Phil. Speaking of amazing television. Guys, I can't recommend this show enough. I'm telling you.
Very nice.
It makes you feel good watching it. It makes you hungry.
Good.
It's all the amazing food
I hope
that you
it
eat,
makes you travel.
And it makes you want to travel. It totally does, 100%. Today, very exciting. So go watch it. Get on Netflix. Watch it right now. Watch all of it this weekend. You will not regret it, all right?
Thank you.
With that being said, let's turn it over. We have some microphones in the room. Take some questions from the audience.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So with all the amazing places that you've been to try food, is there any place you haven't been yet?
Oh, of course. Like, I haven't been to Morocco yet. Anybody been to Marrakesh? Or no? You have. Yeah. I'm dying to go. That's a place. India, I haven't been to India yet. Yeah, I haven't been to mainland China, really. I went to Hong Kong, but I'm dying to go to Shanghai. I haven't been there. Wow, it's a big world.
Is there a place you're afraid to go to, and therefore you must go because you want to, like, with
All
Vietnam?
the places I just mentioned.
That was kind of what I loved about Vietnam, is you opened the show saying I had this misconception, this idea of what this place was.
If you're my age,
yeah, exactly.
you grew up, you know, I was even alive during the Vietnam War, right? And then all the movies that came after, that's my frame of reference. So when somebody says, hey, we're going to Vietnam, are you excited? You're a little nervous.
A little nervous.
But everyone else told me, who had been there, best place they'd ever been. Yeah. Favorite place to go on a vacation. So I went in and I'm like, we'll see. And damn, if they're not...
Oh, they're on the money, right? All right. More questions from the audience. Next one is right over here.
Hi.
Hello.
So I've been to Thailand and Vietnam, and those are probably my favorite places that I've been to.
Aren't they great?
So far. How early on in your life did you start traveling, and was there any place that kind of sparked the travel bug to make you continue traveling up?
Yeah, I never went anywhere as a kid. We didn't go, you know, I had maybe one trip to Atlanta when I was 9, maybe Miami when I was 12. That was it. But overseas, I waited till, you know, I had to wait, no money, till I was 23. And I got like a courier flight to Europe. And I had you know, stayed on couches and hostels and pensiones. But in that 1-2 week trip where the flight was free, but you were on your own, I hit Paris and Florence. And those are 2 very good places to start.
That'll do it, yeah.
That'll get its hooks in you very deep, right? because you start eating and you're like, this, I'm in heaven now. This, I've never had anything like this. Just a bowl of pasta in Italy changed your life. Don't you think? It's incredible. Italy, I think, if I had to choose,
that's where you go?
I think Italy wins.
Yeah?
So far, haven't been everywhere, but that everywhere you look is gorgeous. Yeah. The food is unbelievable, and everybody's hugging and kissing you, so what's not to like?
It's hard to complain.
Yeah.
After going to all these places, after doing all these things, I mean, some of the people you encounter and meet, what were their names? Little girls in Saigon, I wrote it down. They were so cute. Amy and Tina. I mean, you meet all these amazing people. When you come home and you're back in California and you're walking around, how do all of these experiences change the lens through which you view now regular life?
What a great question. That's a great question, because this is the value of travel. Yeah. For those of you who've traveled, you walk around and you're appreciating every moment that you're in that place. What travel lets you do, in addition to educating you about the world and opening your eyes to things you never imagined before, the appreciation of the day, of the moment, is something that then stays with you. This is the gift you give to yourself that you carry with you the rest of your life. Not only your happy memories of when you went to the beautiful place, but, wow, that tree on my block. Look how beautiful the purple is in that tree, right?
That's amazing.
That's what it,
yeah.
I live in a place as good as any I've been. Yeah. You start to appreciate what you have, and maybe you have something that they don't have. You appreciate that for what they have, and you appreciate what you have. America, a great country, right?
Yeah.
So,
amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for answering that.
We've
got time for one more question. It's going to be right here.
Hey, I'm actually a huge fan of travel shows. I know that your show has been adapted to like other countries. Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
I was wondering, like, have you gotten a chance to see any of those variations of the show? And has it opened your eyes to, like, you know, what comedy is perceived by, you know, those countries?
Have you seen Exporting Raymond? Because that's what it's about.
That's how I was asking. There's a great moment,
It's all about how things translate back and forth and how humor can translate or not from one country to the next and from one people. By the way, it translates in your house differently from one person to the next. You know, if you've ever told a joke at the dinner table that you thought was hilarious and your wife looks at you like, you're an idiot. That happens every day to me. But there's I think a Saudi Arabian version of Raymond, and Grandma comes in and she's wearing the full, burqa. I love it. It's so great. We get letters from Sri Lanka. That's my mother. Right?
Amazing. There's a great moment in Exporting Raymond where you meet with like the head of like the comedy for the network or whatever.
Yes.
And he tells you that it's not funny and
that's
you're not
right.
funny.
Yes.
Was that hard to hear, but also was that kind of like a culture shock moment where you had to step back from yourself and go, okay, I'm not funny, I'm just not funny to him?
No, because what I felt was annoyed because he was insulting me to my face. This man who's the head of comedy saying, I see shows, but when I read your show, it is not funny.
What a title,
he said that to me, yes. And I said, I don't have to come to Russia to be told I'm not funny. I can get that in my house.
The head of comedy.
The head of comedy. And by the way, he became head of comedy. The sitcom was such a new form to the Russians. The form, sitcom, didn't exist until they brought the nanny over a few years before we came, right? And adapted the American nanny to Russian viewers. Yes.
Why was that the one?
Doesn't matter.
All the shows.
Doesn't matter. Right time, right place.
Nanny, right time, right place. They said that's the one.
Okay, but they didn't have people who were familiar with the form. So because it was a new form, they took people from all kinds of backgrounds. So the head of comedy at the Russian network had only worked, I'm not exaggerating, with laser beams. I said, why is he the head of comedy? Is a new technology.
No way. My gosh. Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yes. You know how we have an audience here, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted a live audience the way we had in Los Angeles for tapings of Raymond. Yeah. They were going to do it without an audience. I said, an audience gives you so much because you hear the laughing, you hear the people. Right. And they said, but we would have to get chairs. Yes, that's the level we were dealing. So, you think you know something.
Yeah.
You go to a place where nobody cares what you know.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Phil, I could sit here and talk to you all day. Regrettably, I got to let you go. We're out of time.
I love being here. You're terrific.
Thank you so much.
And look at the
You're
nice
terrific.
people who came out in the rain.
Thank you
nice.
guys for your great questions. Being a wonderful
Thank
audience. One more time. Somebody Feed Phil is on Netflix right now. Please go watch it. Phil Rosenthal, everybody. Make some noise, please. Thank you.
Thank you.